It is time for your WIN podcast for super busy professionals sharing transformational moments. Your host, Chu Tang.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Your WIN podcast. Today, I have my very special guest, Rudy. Welcome, Rudy.
Hey, good to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And Rudy, would you share a very transformational scene in your life that changed your life forever?
Most definitely. So I'll start off with I'm lucky to be here. I was born 3.5 months early. I weighed 1 pound, 5 ounces, and I was a tiny little fleshy potato. So I'm very lucky to be here to start with.
Wow.
But I'll tell you this, the most transformational thing I've ever experienced in my life was losing my dream job. And that actually ended up being the best thing to ever happen to me. However, when it did happen, I was a little bit surprised. I was also a little bit terrified because I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So this was during the pandemic. I was at a small town car dealership, very few people, very much a skeleton crew, if you will, especially with the pandemic. We couldn't really even work. We actually had to stay home, but we were still getting paid, which was great. But, you know, the future was very uncertain. Nobody knew what was going to happen because this was, in mid 2020. And we didn't even know what to do when we would go shopping. And eventually what happened is the dealership couldn't afford to keep me. And they let me go. And of course I thanked them for the wonderful experience. But I know a lot of people went through that because companies were downsizing, restaurants were closing, the hospitality and service industry and the restaurant industry got hammered in a very bad way. My town is basically hospitality and restaurants. So a good chunk of my town shut down business-wise, and a lot of people got laid off and not being able to work again. They had no place to go back to. But in that moment, I wanted to turn it into something positive. I knew that just laying around and moping around was not going to help me. It wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go in my life because I knew I was meant to do something important and impactful. And what I ended up realizing was I should just start seeing what the world's doing. So I went on to some networking events. I, wanted to see what the world was up to. And it was very much, very different than what I thought. And nothing really quite resonated with me because I wanted to be able to have a generational impact in people's lives and really be able to make a difference. But then I met someone, and her name's Cassidy, and she had this vibrance and vivaciousness about her that I really appreciated. But she told me she teaches people how money works. And I thought that was kind of interesting. My grandmother was in the financial industry for a number of decades. And I was like, tell me about that. That's interesting. And I was kind of intrigued. I was like, okay, what does this mean for me? The old saying, what's in it for me? I was like, what does this mean for me as a person? What is this going to entail? And I ended up getting an education I didn't think I needed. But what that did for me was I ended up starting to connect dots, not just in the logical sense of, I can have a home business, but how can I help people with this? And then when I realized what little I knew, and I realized other people never got an education around money, things started going from my head to my heart, realizing, okay, having a business is cool. Making money is cool. Having impact is cooler. Generational impact is even better than that. And then I started realizing what was possible because I'm a creative at heart, as evidenced by my photography, which is a small hobby of mine. I started realizing that I could be creative in doing this. But not only that, I can effectively not only change somebody's life, but change their family's life. And that started resonating with me as a person saying, I want to help people. Well, what better way to help people than to help people generationally? And then I really started, clicking in my mind of like, wow, I could make something of this and I could really make a difference in the world. And I'll never forget when I helped my first client, I realized, wow, I really did something. I
Mm.
really changed their life.
Mm-hmm.
Me, living in a town of 10,500, being a country boy my whole life, I was able to do something great.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? This is my life purpose.
Oh.
It just clicked with my head, with my heart.
Mm.
And I realized that this is what I was meant to do with myself. So when I look back on it, I say, wow, losing my dream job was the best thing to ever happen to me because I found my life purpose in the process.
Mm.
That's my story.
Wow. So your first client, was it in Oregon or somewhere else?
Illinois, of all places.
Oh, so now you're helping the whole world, actually,
all across the country, all
all
50
across the country.
United States. Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Have you ever met them in person?
Not yet. I'm gonna.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this story. Yeah. And I think a lot of us could resonate with that, for losing our job, especially during the pandemic. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah,
fundamentally changed the way the world runs. It
yeah.
was very, very powerful. I will say I'm an optimist. I didn't used to be an optimist, but I'm an optimist now. And I
Yeah,
always
yeah,
see the good. And I think that honestly helped me get through it,
yeah.
was seeing all the good. Despite
Mm,
the clouds, there's always sun on the other side of those. And
yes.
especially I'm from Oregon. I'm looking outside and I see clouds and sun behind them, literally as I just said this. But that's a big thing, and I hope that
Yeah.
this does inspire people, because I also had to overcome my neurodivergence because I have ADHD and autism, so I had to overcome that
I
also.
didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, I was diagnosed when I
Wow,
was 7,
wow.
so
And
I
you
was
say you're not
yeah, I
optimistic.
was
Wow,
yeah, so I had to deal with that too. But
wow,
again,
wow.
I was able to grow and be a new version of me because of what I had found. And
Uh,
I realized that, wow, I can actually do some cool stuff in the world. So that was very inspirational and honestly
wow,
was very validating for me. So
wow, wow.
another small part of my story.
I learned so much. Your story is very, very inspiring. Yeah. And
Thank you.
wow. I know you are an amazing photographer, but yeah, you're helping people in investment and money. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Always, always.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you guys like this episode, come back. We'll have more transformational story to share. And until then, stay happy and hopeful. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share. See you soon at Your Win Podcast.